Hi everyone, and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. Today's video we're going to do a quick catch up on the starter motor. So in the last video we did a test, but basically it started raining and I had to stop the video. I've now stripped it and I wanted to just take you through what I found, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I've also, a subscriber of ours has identified that when I put the exhaust manifold on, I neglected to put the rear shield, the rear part of the heat shield. So I'll quickly show you that I found it. I didn't actually realize that I had it, but I went through the parts bin and I found it. And so I'll show you that, and then we'll quickly install that on the engine, just to make sure that that's in place. So it basically just closes the back of the heat shield behind the exhaust manifold, obviously to help keep the heat in. Now we're probably not going to run this tractor on TVO, so it's probably not that important, but of course we want the tractor to be as complete as possible, so I will actually put it in. Anyway, a couple of other little bits and pieces we might go through. We'll see how we get on today, but I think the main part really is those two. So the quick update on the starter, and then putting that rear heat shield, or the back part of the heat shield on. And we'll quickly step through that. Okay, let's get on. Right, so as you can see, I've now stripped the starter. There's a couple of things I wanted to show you. I'm going to bring this a bit closer to the camera. Hopefully the camera will focus on it. There you go. So you can see, first of all, we know it's got 4 sets of brushes. We know that it's got 4 field coils as well. We noted that in the previous video. But you can see I've now loosened the brushes, and I've taken these 2 out. They connect back into the field coil. So 2 of them connect to essentially into the base, which is essentially earth. And then these 2 connect back into the field coils, go through the field coils, and then run up through that central pole that we saw on the previous video. Anyway, now the thing that I'm noting is that the connection for the brushes is actually riveted on and into the body. There's no obvious way to remove that connection for the brushes. Now, well, there's 2 potential ways. I could try and sort of lever that was essentially a ferrule. I could try and lever that open and put the new wires in, and then try and close it up, maybe put some solder on there, etc. Solder will probably melt though, because these things do get hot. So yeah, anyway, so that's one potential option. The other thing is looking inside. So the other 2, as I said, they are connected. Now let me get this to focus again. Right, so hopefully you can see inside there, or at least, but anyway, look, the point is these brushes are connected into the field coils inside there. Now this one, it's a copper band that I can probably I will be able to unfold and get the replacement brushes in, and then sort of recrimp it. So that one I'm less concerned about. Note, however, that this lead, for one of them at least, has been damaged, and that has been rubbing up against something. So something was shorting, or at least it was damaging that lead. So however it was inside here, it wasn't happy. So that's that. Again, I mentioned on the previous video that the commutator on this starter wasn't in great condition, and that's now confirmed. I've cleaned it up a little bit, but there's absolutely, you can't feel any gaps between those segments on the commutator. So this commutator would have to be basically recut. So those gaps between the segments, all of those will have to be recut. Now, so in theory, this starter is savable. We could, we could have a go. We could get new brushes. I seem to think that the brushes are available. I have seen some online that I feel would probably work. But I'm just not sure that it's worth it. So I've checked with Anglo, they do have these starters in stock. They are available, and to be honest with you, I just don't think it's worth messing with. I think I'm going to just order a replacement and go with the replacement starter. They are the equivalent. They're not, well, obviously there'll be a slightly more modern type. Obviously there will be new. But they look the part, right? Remember as well, on the back of this back plate, we've got this issue with the tin shield that is all corroded through. So, one thing I did think about fixing that would be to try and find a rubber grommet that will go over here and basically just cover it with a rubber grommet. I thought that might actually work, but and certainly that would work a lot better than trying to JB weld it closed. So. Yeah, so as I say, I do think that the starter is savable. I think we could actually get it, essentially restore it and get it all nice again. But I'm just not sure, and just not convinced that it's worth it. Also, this pole on the windings, that thread on there would have to be recut, which again, not an issue. I could recut that without any issue, but without any major issue. But again, it's all just a lot of effort, and I'm just not convinced that it's worth it. So anyway, so that's the update on the starter. That's where my head is at the moment. Maybe put a comment on this video. I won't make any decisions until this video has been published and kind of get some feedback from you guys. Let's see what the consensus is. If there's a consensus that I should go ahead and try and restore it, then I will. But right now, my head is in the space of let's just get a replacement and crack on. There's other much more important and bigger jobs that need to be done on this tractor, and I'm just not convinced that this one's worth it. Anyway, so that's the update on the starter. Now, I mentioned in the intro that one of our subscribers messaged me and said, hey, aren't you going to put the rear heat shield on? And I thought, well, I don't really know what you're talking about. He sent me some photos, and well, this is it basically. I have found it. So obviously from his photos I was able to identify it and went through the parts bin and managed to find it. Now hopefully you can see this, but essentially there are 3 holes, bolt holes, and they go, I've checked, they actually sit. I'm going to take you over to the tractor in a minute and I'll show you, but basically these sit underneath the head bolts, or the head nuts rather. So I'm going to have to remove 3 of the head nuts, which means I'll have to retorque them again, but that's obviously no issue. They're perfectly accessible, so that needs to be done. And then this is this groove here is where that breather pipe goes in. You remember if you watched the video where we were installing the exhaust manifold, that breather pipe comes up through there. So yeah, so I think what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to the tractor. I'll show you where it goes, and in fact we will get it installed. Okay, so we're over at the tractor now. Obviously that's the front of the engine. Here's the exhaust manifold just to get your bearings. And like I say, this rear heat shield basically goes in here, right? So you can see how that lines up with that one lines up with that one, and you may not be able to see this one, but that lines up there. So what we're going to have to do is remove this breather pipe, or remove this one and then loosen this side. We're going to have to remove these 3 head nuts, get that in, and then we'll have to put this breather pipe through this slot, get that bolted down, and then put the breather pipe back. But essentially that sits at the back there, and as you can see it completes the heat shield enclosure to help keep the heat in. So yeah, I'm going to go get some spanners and stuff, and we'll get started. Okay, I think I'm ready. So the first thing we'll do is pop this breather pipe off at the top here. Save the washers, the copper washers, and just loosen it at the bottom. We may have to remove it, but I'm hoping we're going to be able to squeeze that bracket in underneath this. We'll see. Right, I'm actually going to remove the tappet cover as well, because the socket's going to foul that if I don't. There we go. Now we're going to try not to disturb this gasket. Okay, so we want to get this one off. This one. And this one. There we go. Okay, now the moment of truth. Can we get this in? I think we might be lucky. There we go. Alrighty. So let's get these back. Right, now I'll just nip them up for now. And then I'll go get the torque wrench and we'll quickly torque those. There we go. Right, I'll just get the torque wrench and then we'll torque those up, and then we can get back to putting this all back together. Right, found it. It's a bugger having moved. I still struggle to find everything. I've just spent 20 minutes looking for the torque wrench, but anyway, I found it. Right, so I've set it, so these are 60 to 65 foot-pounds. I've set the torque wrench to 45. We're going to take it down to 45. And I might just do them in sequence just to be sure. Sort of a quarter turn each. Just under. That one's there. That one's there. That one's there. Right. Now we'll take it up to. Right, we'll do 60. And I'm just going to go another 5 just to be sure. The scale on this thing is not the easiest to read. But anyway. Just going to check these while I'm here. Yeah. Oh, good. Right, that's retorqued. So now we can get the tappet cover back, hopefully. Without disturbing that gasket. Let's get these nuts back on. Okay, I'm going to leave those like that. You never know, we may need to take it off again, and I don't want to damage that gasket. Right, now we can get this back on. Now this is... There we go. Okay. Should work. Tighten the bottom up. And we're just about done. There we go. So now, when we bring the heat shield in, we see that that should sit just like that. It's not quite sitting right here on this one. The exhaust is catching it. I might need to just tidy that up, but I mean, this all needs tidying up. You can see a couple of rust stains on here, but you can see how that now just completes this. Don't think it goes inside. No, that wouldn't work. No. So it definitely sits on top. And oh. We're definitely going to have to move the open it up on this side for the exhaust, but it's just about 2 millimeters out on the hole. But yeah, so that basically, I don't know what these two holes are for. Guess we'll find out as we keep going. But yeah, so that's looking good. Okay, so that's that job done. Let's see what else we can busy ourselves with. Okay, I thought we'd move on to the front of the water pump here. So we put this on a long time ago, just as a reminder, this is a new water pump that came with the tractor when we bought it. We have the old one as well, but this was a new one that the previous owner had bought. As you can see, they put some paint on it. but they never really installed it. So I've installed it now, obviously, and what I thought we'd do is we carry on with this front. So basically we've got a flange that goes onto the shaft. Then you've got the pulley housing that connects to the obviously to the bottom pulley and then to the dynamo over here. And then of course you've got the fan that goes on the front there. So look, I think what we'll do, we'll get this nut off here. Now this flange is connected to the shaft with a cotter pin, and I noticed this shaft also has a key in it, but the flange doesn't, so I'm not quite sure. I'm guessing that's for a different model. So we'll get that key out, because there's no keyway in the flange. Put tape on here to keep the key in place. So we'll get that off. There you go. So you can see there we've got a key, and we've also got this cutout for the cotter pin. Now I'm not really sure that that's actually right, because the cotter pin should run against a flat surface, which is here. So I think we're going to have to see how this thing sits and then work out which is the right one. So the first thing I want to do is get this key out, which hopefully won't be too difficult. There we go. Now you've got this flange, and again, most people will know this, but there's a trapezoidal bolt pattern on here, and that's just to make sure that your fan connects correctly. Now I want that to go all the way back to that flat edge on the shaft, this hole here, which it looks like it will. And it looks like you've got a little bit of adjustment to play with as well, essentially to be able to get your belt straight. So the pulley goes on there, and I'll just line these holes up. That's the correct alignment there. Now what we need to do is check whether those two pulleys are in line with each other. So I'll get a decent straight edge, and we'll check that. Okay, I've moved you so that you can look from the side as we check this alignment. So I've got a straight edge here. What I want to do is get it onto the top and bottom of the bottom pulley, and then check where does it sit here. So you can see it's quite a long way out. Just make sure I've got that. Yeah. So you can see this is quite a long way out. So we want to go quite a bit more in. So I've got a wooden mallet, and we'll just, well actually that wasn't sitting straight, so let's first, we need to hold that in place. Let's try that again. Okay, it's actually not that far away now. We might go in just a tad more, just to be sure. So we want to tap that in like that, I think. I'll just get my straight edge lined up first. And there you go, you can see that's just about, it's slightly further back, but I'm actually happy with that because this surface here, I don't know if you can see what I'm pointing at, but this here is now 100% level. So let me get this off. So this flange, this machine face here is 100% level with the shaft. So look, we'll go with that. We can always adjust it again if we need to. So now we want to see and make sure that our cotter pin will go in there. And I don't think it matters which side you put it in from. But on the cotter pin you've obviously got a flat edge. Not sure if you can see that. Let me get out the light. So you can see you've got a flat edge on the cotter pin. And that obviously needs to go down towards the shaft. And you push it in. And already we can see we've got thread there, which is good. That's what we need. And there's a spring washer and a nut for that. Now what I'll do, I'll just give this a good tap like that, and then I'll pop that washer and that nut on. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to tighten that nut because we're very close to that body there, but let's see if we can get in here. Now weirdly that doesn't seem to be tightening. Maybe it's pulling the cotter pin in some more for us. Oh, there we go. Now it's tight. You could just get a ring spinner in there. Okay. Okay, that's nice and tight. Now to be fair, this nut on the front can just go on. That doesn't actually do much. I'm not even sure what its purpose is because it doesn't hold the flange on, because the flange is held by the cotter pin. It doesn't hold the fan on, doesn't hold the pulley on, so I think it's just for show. I don't know. Anyway, right, now we can get the pulley on. If I get that, looking at my pattern, the trapezoidal pattern, you can see that goes on like that. And it is a bit of a tight fit, mostly because of the paint, I think. There we go. And we can get the fan on. Now, I'm going to bring you around the front because I think it's going to be easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're back around the front. Now, the fan has there's a pock mark just there, and there's a pock mark there. So I know that needs to go on this way. Maybe if I line them up. And all that that's doing is making sure that the fan is going to be sucking air when it turns. If you put it the other way, it will actually, the bolt holes will line up if you turn it the other way. You can see there, both bolt holes will line up. But of course, when the engine turns this way, you can see that your fins are the wrong way around, right? So it's really easy. Someone's put a pockmark on there, which is great, but actually it's really easy to work out which way it needs to go anyway. So there you go. That goes on there. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to get the fan belt and just put it in place, because it might be more difficult to put on when everything is on. So let me just get it and make sure. Okay, so again, this is a new belt, which again came with the tractor, and yeah, now this is going to be interesting. I've got to get it down around that bottom pulley. So let's just get the fan out the way for a minute. And I think that that's going to be a little bit challenging, because that nut, yeah, it'll go, but only just. There we go. Okay, now we've got to get it past the pulley. Might need a long screwdriver just to get in there. Just got to push it past without damaging it, of course. The one side is gone and the other side doesn't want to. I might twist it a bit. There we go. Okay. Right, so you can see that obviously goes on there, and then you have the dynamo that sits here, and that's what you use to tension it, but essentially that goes there. Now, just looking at this, I mean, it is obviously difficult to eyeball, but those two pulleys look to be very much in line with each other. Now, let's get this fan on, and we can bolt it up, and then we can check again. It's about there. There we go. So we can just snug those up. Just check them. Hey, that one, the head of this bolt is a bit corroded. Right, there we go. Another job done. So again, it looks to me like that's running nice and true, so I'm happy with that. We'll leave it at that. Obviously, the next job now would be to get the the dynamo in. But before we do that, what I want to do is work on the governor, because obviously that you need well, you don't want the dynamo in the way when you're working on that. So maybe the next video, well, I need to get the carburetor in, but we can probably make a start on the governor and at least start getting that in place. We won't necessarily be able to set it up, but at least we should be able to get it in place. So look, I think I'm going to leave it there for this video. Just a couple of little jobs just to move us another step forward, or another couple of steps forward. Thank you again to Uday Singh, I think is his name. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, but he's the subscriber who pointed out this, the fact that we've missed this shield off the back. So thank you very much for him. To him. If you look at the comment on my previous video, you'll see that exchange, but he actually contacted me then on Facebook Messenger, and sent me photos, etc., so that I could work out exactly what had gone on there. But yeah, so thank you very much, Uday. Interesting guy. We communicated a little bit more on Facebook after that. He's got a number of tractors. I think he said in the end about 13 different tractors. So obviously a great enthusiast, and most of them, I believe, were Massey Fergusons. So yeah, he's obviously a fan of the brand. So yeah, but again, thank you to him. And look, for the rest of you, again, thanks for watching. Hope that you've got something out of this video. Hope that you've enjoyed it. And we'll see you on the next one. Hope you all have a great week. Cheers for now.